This is Nasic with 7 at Penthouse Recording Studios. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right, man. Just getting right into it. What kind of music's been inspiring you recently to create new art?
Man, I've been listening to this new Saba album.
Mm,
Saba and No ID. They just dropped an album. Um, I've been listening to Will Smith's album.
mm.
I've been listening to Smoke DZA.
Legend.
But a lot of what like really inspires me is like just the greats like J. Cole.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Old Kanye. You know, I listen to a lot of that just in my daily playlist, day to day. The music that they make is the music like I aspire to make. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to like pull on your heartstrings and make you feel something more than just, the music.
So go into that a little more. So what from those albums have you been taking specifically, if anything?
So like the main thing I'm taking is the vulnerability. You know what I'm saying? The main thing I'm really trying to do with my music is find ways to be more open and vulnerable without like shedding the art itself. It's hard to open yourself up to people and share your secrets or, the things that hurt you or the things that scare you in a way that not only can people digest, but they can also relate to.
Right. And there's
You know what I'm
absolutely a
saying?
value in that kind of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Listening to some of your music on streaming services, authenticity is clearly a through line, an idea that you like to stick on. What does authenticity mean to you, both personally and in your art?
I mean, I guess to me, authenticity is just being your true self, in every facet of who you are or who you're around or who you're with or whatever you're doing. I try to bring the best versions of me, but that also means that if I'm gonna be authentic, I got to give you the worst versions of me too. You got to get every side. And sometimes in my music, that may come across as funny and wanting to just make something light, but that may also come across as, man, I've been through some shit growing up. You know what I'm saying? I've experienced some things in my life that I need to get off my chest. At the end of the day, ultimately, it's for me to get off my chest. And hopefully you like it. But even if you don't, this is therapeutic for me. You know what I'm saying? It's a release.
Right. And I assume that lens of authenticity, that also extends to how you pick your collaborators. Do you have a specific way that you pick who you collaborate with? Are you looking for something in your collaborators?
Yes and no. I collaborate with people that I know. You know what I'm saying? I can't work with you if I don't know who you are as a person. So before I'm even really, especially for my projects that I hold close to me, before I'm even willing to be like, pull up, let's work together, let's do something, I need to know who you are first. I need to hang out with you. I need to see what type of person you are. And most of the collaborators that I have worked with are people that I just genuinely mesh well with outside of music, that we can hang out outside of this craft and this passion that we share. That's the main thing I'm trying to take away. Who are you? And, what do you feel like is your bigger purpose, your bigger calling, or whatever it may be?
So being able to mesh with someone on a person-to-person level, that's specifically important to your creative process.
Yeah, and I think that's just important to me as a person, to be able to be with somebody and kind of get to know them and then further know them better than, other people. Especially, I think it comes through in my music, especially the artists I have tapped on to work with, like Sullivan Rose, or I've worked with my boy T-Time, Rashid Isaiah. These are just people that I share close bonds with outside of music, and it allows me to transcend it when we are working in this craft and in this space.
100%. So just sticking on authenticity a little longer, for the younger you, for the 10, 11-year-old you, what made you want to start rapping?
Man, I didn't start making music till I was in high school, and the reason I started making music is I had a substitute teacher at the time, Mr. O, and he was just monumental in teaching me about hip hop. He burnt CDs for me and personally gave them to me with just gems from before I was even born. Just showing me like, this is what hip hop is. And that really laid the foundation. After school, me and like a couple of my homies would like click up, and now we're just freestyling in a little circle. You know what I'm saying? And my sub would come up and he would join in with us, and him showing me that, yo, I went to Panama, I was overseas and I built a following there, and I came back here and I brought it home to my hometown. He was from Plainfield, I'm from Plainfield. And he showed me that there was space to be an artist, make music, but you don't have to curse. You don't have to necessarily talk about violence. You don't have to do things that maybe other people are doing to seem cool. You could just be you. And I took that from 10th grade all the way to now.
Right, right, right. So that's interesting. You're very specific about the messaging that you're going to put forward in
For
your
sure,
art.
for
Why is that?
sure,
Why is that important to you?
for sure. Because, man, I'm from a neighborhood where I've seen my friends die. You know what I'm saying? I got family members who are in that life selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? They're in gangs. And I'm from specifically a neighborhood where we're just influenced to do those things because that's what we see. So for me, it was more like, how can I be different? You know, and I always wanted somebody to kind of be that model for me of like, well, if I don't want to sell drugs, if I don't want to, you know, commit crimes, what can I do to be successful? Or what can I do to just be different or be, you know, I want to live a long life. You know, we're not, statistically, we don't make it past 25. You know what I'm saying? So it's big for me to kind of be able to tell you that there's opportunities outside of drugs or outside of violence or outside of taking something from somebody else. You can build on your own pillars.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the authenticity. We've talked about your messaging. Going into 2025, what have you got working? What are you trying to complete by the end of the year?
So, man, I'm working on a couple projects. A project I'm working on with my brother Mustafa J. It's called Still Digging. We've been working on it for maybe about 8 months now. And I'm really excited because I think up to date, this is my most vulnerable like piece of work. You know, what I'm trying to do, like I said earlier, is I'm trying to tap into that vulnerable side and be more willing to express that to people, you know, and kind of shed these layers of like fear and anxiety that have plagued me a lot throughout my life. You know, being someone who has had bouts of depression or has dealt with anxiety on a real level that has crippled me for a long time, just being able to kind of shed that skin and be able to share what I've been doing and who I am and who I'm growing into because I'm constantly changing. That's a project that we're working on, and I hope that I can drop it this year. And then later this year, me and Rashid, Isaiah, we're working on another project called At the End of the Day. And that's where I'm just trying to take it up a notch. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to showcase my talent, my lyrical ability. You know, I'm trying to showcase the different sonics that we've been implementing over the past couple years and just how we've grown as artists and individuals.
100%, 100%. So for Still Digging, you mentioned, it's about a growth. Is there something specific about Mustafa J that was really instrumental into that project being put together in that form?
Jaden is, I think he's one of the most unique characters I've had a chance to work on music with. I mean, he is one of those people who kind of taps into, he reminds me of someone who, as I would like to say, is digging in the crates. So like, he's not looking for necessarily just anything. You know, he's not afraid to dig deep into a crate of some records and pull out something and be like, yo, this is hard. Let's flip this. Let's do this. And he's also not afraid to try different things. So like, he's definitely been monumental in the creation of this process and just even back and forth the way we've been, sharing beats and kind of like saying, well, I like this, but I may not like this. I don't know if this will fit the vibe because of the overall mission that I'm trying to accomplish, but he'll always fire back with something else. And I'm like, that's it. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
100%, 100%. So just bringing it full circle with the messaging. If someone was a new listener to you, two parts, how would you want them to interact with your music? Such as what message would you hope they walk away from, and where would you recommend they start when it comes to listening to your music?
I think the starting place, matter of fact, let me answer the first question first. So I feel like the message I would want them to take away from my music is just that it's real. I think especially in this era of like Instagram, TikTok, social media, it is hard to find someone who is like genuinely themselves and they are not afraid to showcase their talent or their abilities without it getting tainted from what everybody else is doing. Right. Whatever may sell or whatever may be the most marketable. The main thing I'm trying to get across to people is, you could just be yourself, and that showcases in my music. Whatever you're doing, just be yourself doing it. That's the best way to get, if you want to get it in front of somebody, that's your best way to get it there. So that's the main message. And I think if you're just tuning into me, you got to go back to the start. So 573 was the first project I ever made officially. And it's on all streaming platforms, me and Rashid. And I've been working with Rashid for a long time. So we made that back in like 2020. And that's just the blueprint for who I am today. You know, even if you don't listen to the whole thing, any song on that project shows the original blueprint, the pieces that we were putting together and who I wanted to be as an artist and in this space. And it just carried over to every project after that.
100%, 100%. So just bringing it to a close here, what does success creatively, personally look like for you?
Well, I mean, creatively, I think I'm in it. You know, just having these opportunities to do things like this, or, you know, just the day-to-day experiences, meeting new people, working with my friends and just building on what we've created here. That's my individual idea of success, but also success is really what you make it. You know, I think the road to success is hard because a lot of people kind of pull from other people's versions of success and other people's ideas of success. And for me, success has just been finding balance in my life, you know, especially taking on new ventures, you know, growing up, going through life and experiencing these challenges and these day-to-day things that happen that, you know, you really can't control. Navigating that has been successful for me. That's what I define as success, and just being who you are.
Absolutely, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I'll give you a second if you want to shout out anyone, if you want to give light to any up and coming artists.
If you are an artist, I just want to say this. If you are an artist and you are working, and there are people who may not believe in you, you know, they may not want to take 2 seconds to repost your song. They may not want to like, comment, or share. You know, at the end of the day, you just keep going. The craft is what you make it. And really, you have to be your biggest fan. So if nobody else fuck with it, if nobody else like it, as long as you love it, that's all that matters. You know, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for the people I have around me. You know, if it wasn't for my grandmother who took care of me, you know what I'm saying, and molded me into the person I am today. If it wasn't for my girlfriend who's constantly in my ear saying, you can do it. You know, if it wasn't for these people who push me and believe in me sometimes more than I believe in myself, I would not be here today. So to all my family, my friends, my loved ones, you all know who you are. And I appreciate you for just coming along with me on this journey.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Nasic, 7 Productions, Penthouse Recording Studio. Thank you.